A very good afternoon to each one of you from the core of my heart, and a very warm welcome. As is our wont, let us begin this program with a prayer. Om Akhandamandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurureva Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Om Shri Sadguruve Namaha. Just take a few moments to be in the state of perfect listening. Last week we heard Kanhaiya ji tell us about how Mahabharata represents an attempt by the forces of discretion to rise and lead one to the truth. That exposition continues today also, and it is my great pleasure to welcome Kanhaiya ji once again in our midst so that he can complete what he had started last week. So a very warm welcome, Kanhaiya ji. We are so glad to have you with us and so thankful. So kindly continue.
Thank you so much, sir, for this opportunity to talk to such a wonderful audience. Very rare to get audience interested in such subjects. So we will continue from where we left last time. Can I have that slide, Ilmaji? Yeah. Last time we had the three stepbrothers, the first generation, Bhishma, Vichitravirya, and Maharshi Vyas. This time we have the next generation, three stepbrothers. First is Dhritarashtra, second is Pandu, and third is Vidura. Like we saw last time that all these three are really sons of Vyasa from different ladies. Now, today we are going to get introduced to all these people, and then you might get a feeling that whether this is truth or this Maharshi Vyas has created this story just to suit some purpose. I can't say whether this actually happened, this is the truth, or whether Maharshi Vyas has created these characters to explain us the human behavior. So let us start. Dhritarashtra is blind. They say the mind is blind. Mind cannot get anything from outside until our senses give the signals. Mind will not know anything. The other way the mind can get any signal is through intellect or our memory or all the things which are inside us already. But from the outer world, the mind doesn't know anything. And Dhritarashtra, he has created as a symbol of mind, and he is blind. So he's not getting any signals from outside. Second, Pandu, the second brother, he is taken as symbol of intellect. And the third person, Vidur, is taken as a symbol of discretion. Now I would like to go to next slide and get the plot of Mahabharata people to complete the plot further. Imagine next slide, please. The main characters of Mahabharata are listed here. Dhritarashtra, as we saw, is mind, the blind mind. And we'll go over all the six and then come back to some comments. Gandhari, as we saw last time, was a princess from a small hill kingdom, not very prosperous, and they could not refuse the sort of proposal from the almighty Hastinapur kingdom. And that's how Gandhari came to Hastinapur, and she didn't know till she got married that she is going to get married to a blind person. Now, her way of dealing with the situation was she blindfolded herself also. The reaction could have been, okay, my husband is blind, so let me do the job of supplementing him. She did the, she blindfolded herself also. So then we have 100 children born to this couple who are both blind, and they are not able to give any inputs to their children. And then they have shown us how such children, the Kauravas, becomes our sensual tendencies. Our human sensual tendencies probably are generated out of this situation. The next one, Pandu, is intellect. He was father of Pandavas, and Pandavas, as we saw last time, are our chakras which sort of decide our discretion in different areas. Now, it's a very interesting thing that the sons of Pandu were born out of divine beings. The Pandu himself was only father for namesake. So the chakras, the discretion that is available in chakras doesn't come out of intellect. It is a divine gift. Fourth is Kunti, the mother of the Pandavas. Kunti was sister of Vasudeva, Krishna's father. She was Bua for Krishna. But she was adopted by her relative Kunti Bhoj, who did not have any children. And Kunti went willingly and became a person of that family and made that family very happy. That's a characteristic of dispassion. She is not concerned with her having to leave her own house. She is making the house where she goes happy. So Kunti is taken in Mahabharata as a representation of dispassion. Now we come to Madri. Madri is the second wife of Pandu. She comes from that Shalya. Shalya is her brother. And she comes from the family where the relationships are sort of tied up based on how the proposal from the boy's side is backed up by the gift. This family, Madri, we can understand when we see the family. The Bhishma, when he sent proposal for Madri, he sent so much of gifts that Shalya, who was going to be the decision maker, he said, yes, you know our customs and therefore your proposal is acceptable to us. Now this is the family from which Madri comes. One more example, Shalya becomes the brother-in-law of Pandavas. So when there was Kaurav-Pandav war, he was coming to fight on the side of Pandavas. When he started from his place, at every stop, he found that some wonderful arrangements were made and he was made very comfortable at every stop. So he kept wondering, how come, who's taking care of me? And he just didn't find out more of it. But when he reached and he found out that the whole thing was arranged by Duryodhan, he said, how can I not be on the side of person who has taken so good care of me during my travel? Now this is the family. These small little things give us some background about what are the sort of things of importance in this family. So Madri, when she comes, she is the materialistic person. Kunti is sort of Vairagya one. Madri is materialistic. And Pandu, because of some curse from Rishi, he could not stay in Hastinapur. So he went to forest and he went with the two wives. There, after some time, he was wondering, like, I'm not going to have children and therefore what will happen to our kingdom, all that. And Kunti mentioned to him that she had the boons from Durvasa Rishi, that she could get the children without any problem. And Pandu was very happy that, okay, his family is going to have some heirs. So Kunti got the first three, Yudhishthir, Bhim and Arjun. And then Madri said, oh, then what about me? I also would like to have children. So Pandu requested Kunti that why don't you give some opportunity to Madri also. Now she had 4 boons, 3 she had used. So fourth one she gave to Madri. Now, what Madhuri chose was, can you guess? Madhuri ne कोणाला घेतलं? She chose Ashwini Kumar. Ashwini Kumar are twins. So they come together. So she automatically gets two sons out of one mantra. I'm probably seeing too many things in what actually happened in Mahabharata. I don't know whether Madhuri actually did, but that's what Vyasa has put in the scripture. Now, when we say that Vyasa has collected a sort of gathering to convey some understanding to us, then whether we say this or that, but we can draw conclusions or we can just say this is exactly what happened. After that, once Kunti had gone to all the children in the forest to sort of entertain them for the picnic, and that time Pandu felt like taking an opportunity of their isolation. But he forgot that he had a curse that if he touches his wife, he will die. And that's what happened. When that happened, Madhuri had two children, Nakul and Sahadev. She left all five of them for Kunti to take care. And she went sati with, Pandu. Either I'll live in comforts or I would rather be sati. Do you see the character of Madhuri? The last character there is Vidur. First one was Dhritarashtra, his Ambika. She was so scared that she closed her eyes and he was blind. Second was Pandu, and he had because the Ambalika had coated her skin with paste. She had, Pandu had that Pandu robe. But Vidur was flawless. Vidur is the best amongst the three, in the sense that very balanced person, and the way we see it, that Pandavas were raised by Kunti and Vidur. After Pandu died, these people all came back to Hastinapur, and Kunti and Vidur raised the Pandavas. So this discretion of Vidur and dispassion of Kunti gives Pandava the character of chakras in our body. Next slide, please. A few comments on how the people were. Arjun, as we had seen last time, is Manipur, and very ambitious and very determined and very capable. But what Arjun did, he could, that there was that bird and people were told to hit the eye of the bird. And Dronacharya asked, you know all these stories, I'm just only putting the highlights of it. Arjun was asked, what do you see? Everybody else saw, we see the tree, we see the fruits, we see this, we see that. Arjun said that I see only the eye of the bird. Very focused. The same Arjun, we saw the story of Ekalavya last time. Ekalavya had come to Dronacharya for learning archery. And Dronacharya had told him that, no, you are low caste, so I cannot teach you, and had sent him back. And after going back, Eklavya had built a statue of Dronacharya, and from the statue of Dronacharya, he learned the archery. And then we had seen that when the Pandavas had gone to forest for a trip with Dronacharya, and there was a dog which was barking, and then they found that the arrows were shot in such a way that the dog was not hurt, but his barking had stopped. And Arjun found out that this is something I can't do and somebody can do it. And then he says that, okay, that means some student of, that statue of Dronacharya was there from whom we had learned. So he said that that student is better than me. And you had promised me that I will be your best student, best archer in the world. And if this is the situation, that means your promise is not fulfilled. And Dronacharya, then we saw that he asked Guru Dakshina from Eklavya, and the Guru Dakshina was his right hand thumb, which would make him incapable of doing any archery. This is one character of Arjun. On second hand, similar story happened on Kauravs side. There was a competition. The Karna was not allowed to participate because he was a low caste Radheya. What did Duryodhan do? Duryodhan made him a king of a small kingdom and made him a friend. And what did Arjun do? He made the wonderful archer incapable of archery. This is what the sensual tendencies would do. This is what ambitious Arjun would do, or ambitious Manipur would do. I'm just taking out and quoting the understandings of Mahabharata that I'm coming across. These will be used later on in due course. Next slide, please. So this is the Karna. He was made the king and all that, and we saw that he had that Kavach and Kundala from Surya, and that Brahmin came, and he was forewarned that this such and such Brahmin will come and ask you for these things, but don't give them to you. Surya being Karna's father, had warned him not to do it. But Karna has his principles that no yachak will go empty-handed. Now, Karna had an opportunity. He wanted to be a friend of Duryodhan, a complete friend of Duryodhan, and do everything for Duryodhan's good. But did he do that? If he had refused, if he had broken his promise of, his virtue of Danshur and best friend, he would rather be a useful friend than best friend. His definition of best friend made him lose the thing that he wanted to do most. He wanted to be useful to Duryodhan, and he was not able to do that. Now, this is exactly what had happened with Bhishma also. The promise he made to Satyavati to make his father happy handicapped him from being a good king or being a king at all. So what we are going to see is lot of things in our behavior. We want to do something, but we end up doing something which is counterproductive. And these are our characteristics. Are we aware of them? The point is, when we are on the spiritual path, we should be aware of what we want to do and what we end up doing. If we know that, how we are sort of being counterproductive, then only we can be trying to do something other way. Just examples to see which way we are heading. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is the same thing like Karna's generosity. The earlier was Karna's friendship. Next slide, please. Oh, great. Yeah. This is where we start. All people are back in Hastinapur. Kauravas are there, Pandavas are there, and Kauravas know that Pandavas are better than them, but Kauravas definitely want this to be the heir to the throne. And the mind, the blind mind of Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, who had blindfolded herself, definitely want to take the side of their children. Now they let them grow in their own ways. And it ended up in Kauravas planning the plot of this Lakshagruha, building a house of inflammable material so that, and then they invited Pandavas. There used to be a big fair nearby area, and they said that, yeah, we have a nice place there and you can go to that fair and stay in that house. And Pandavas and Kunti, they went there. Now, Vidur, discretion, had foreseen that if Duryodhan is doing such plotting, something must be more than meets the eye. He found out how exactly the building is taking place, what are the materials being used, and he found out that it is an inflammable material, and he knew that something is going to go wrong. So he had managed people to dig a tunnel from under the house into the forest. You know the story. And then same type of people were sent into the house. Same 5 children and the mother were sent to the house. They stayed there. And when the fire was lit, Pandavas were on the warning, pre-warned. So they escaped through the tunnel, all of them. And the 5 people, their replacements died in the house. So Kauravas didn't get any feeling that Pandavas have escaped. Next slide, please. Now, when they escaped from this Lakshagruha, they were supposed to have gone to Vanvas. The whole thing was in the forest area, and they went and stayed in the forest area. Now, what do we exactly mean by Vanvas? This Vanvas is actually another way of referring to Vijanavas. In forest, there is no there are no crowds around. There is isolation. And in Vijanavas, you can do sadhana. Or do you have to do sadhana, or the sadhana happens in Vijanavas? Now, Kavaryaji is that breathing method, three-step breathing. The book on that has given the way how the things work on us. There is some point here which decides what inputs should be allowed to come in us. Like he has given those big numbers, 120 inputs go in our we are exposed to 120 inputs per breath, per our that heartbeat. Per heartbeat, 120 inputs approach us. They go in, but how many of them should be allowed inside is decided by that IESM, intelligence, emotion, sex. Sex here refers to animal tendencies and movement. These four characteristics of ours decide how many of those inputs will go in and work on us. Now, depending on these, if we are going to get inputs, then we will keep getting inputs which are allowed by this nature of ours, decided by our inherited tendencies, and the others will not be allowed to come in. So our tendencies get strengthened more and more and more. Now, the book says, what is the way out? The way out is either you change the inner combination so that the other things are also allowed to come in, or you don't let anything come in. You go in isolation where nothing is available. So, what do? You go to Vijanavas. When you go to Vijanavas, there is no input coming. And that is where you have an opportunity to change your nature. So we can see what is wrong with us and we don't do it. And because there are no inputs coming, we are having isolation. So in that isolation, we have a chance. The second way to change is Kavaryaji's three-step rhythmic breathing. A rhythmic breathing allows you to change your inside tendencies. So these two ways, so you go to forest, Vijanvas, and do rhythmic breathing, you have even more opportunities. Now, when Pandavas got out of Lakshagruha and went into isolation of that Vanavas or Vijanvas, how did they, what was the difference in their behavior after that? Bhim went to that, the Pandavas were staying in that house, that Brahmin's house, and they were all crying. And they asked, why were you crying? So they said that, there is a demon here, and because he used to eat a lot of our people, we made a deal with him that, we will send one person to him every day. And today is our turn to send one person. So we are feeling sad about it, where that the son will have to go and he will die. And Bhim said, but he doesn't have to go, I can go instead. So Bhim, he is Vayu Tattva, Anahat. He has the tendency to be helpful, love. And that is further accentuated by this one verse. And he goes, instead of the family person, he kills that Bakasur and comes back. This change in behavior starts taking place. Second thing that happens is they come out, and then there was that Draupadi Swayamvar, and Arjun goes there and he hits the eye of the fish which is rotating at the top by seeing the reflection in the boiling water or boiling oil. So in a boiling medium, you have a reflection of something which is rotating, and you have to hit the eye of that. And Arjuna does that. And then he has to then marry Draupadi. Draupadi's marriage, the funny story, not many people were able to understand. I didn't understand for a long time. That the Pandavas take Draupadi to their home hut where Kunti was there. And they had a habit of telling Kunti that, oh, today we have come with this. And she would say that, okay, you share it equally between 5 of you. And this is what they did when they came back with Draupadi. And Draupadi, they said, okay, look what we have got today. And she said, whatever it is, you share it equally between 5 of you. And Pandavas shared Draupadi equally. Now, what does that mean? Pandavas are chakras, Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anahat, Vishuddha, Ajna. 5 Pandavas are 5 chakras. And Draupadi is supposed to be Kundalini. The Kundalini Shakti has to pierce and connect the 5 chakras. So when we understand that Kundalini is, Draupadi is Kundalini, then meeting 5 chakras starts looking a wonderful thing to achieve. And then we start understanding Mahabharata more and more. Next slide, please. Then when Draupadi is married to Pandavas, their influence certainly increases. Draupadi is a very powerful king. So Hastinapur people, out Kauravas and Dhritarashtra and all these people, they could not take the changed position of Pandavas lightly. So they suddenly offered them, okay, we will, that will not give you even needle, tip of needle, itna bhi zameen nahi denge. Wo stand suddenly change ho gaya. And then Pandavas were offered Indraprastha region for themselves as their separate kingdom. Okay. Next slide, please. This is another incident where actually this slide should have been, my mistake, should have been a little later. But now that we have it, we'll see this. this Brahmin came to Pandavas saying that my cattle has been stolen by thieves and I need your help to sort of get it back. Now, after Pandavas married Draupadi, they made a settlement that, these are the days each person will have with Draupadi. And if anybody enters the privacy of Draupadi with someone else, then the one who flouts the privacy will have to go for 12 years of vanvas. Now, Arjun, who could not tolerate Eklavya being better than him, now after the Vijanvas and all these things, he is prepared to face that 12 years of exile to get the cattle of the Brahmin back to him. So he went to that privacy area, picked up his instruments, that Dhanusha and Ban and all that, and went with that Brahmin and got punished the thieves and then got the cattle back. No, these are the stories in Mahabharata. Now, how we interpret them is up to us. I interpret that this is the change that has come in Arjuna, the one who could not tolerate the supremacy of Eklavya. He went to the extent of getting him handicapped. He is now willing to accept 12 years of exile for getting some Brahmins' cattle back. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is the Indraprastha area where it's very funny. It was a very dense forest. And when Arjuna and Krishna had gone together, they asked him, why don't you use some of the forest and clear it and let us have some clean area? And they said that, Indra doesn't allow. There is Takshak in this forest, Takshak staying in this forest, and Indra wants to protect him, so he doesn't allow Agni to burn the forest. So they talked to Agni. He said, yeah, you get me protection from Indra and I'll burn the required area of forest and clear it for you. Now, there is one change happening. Indra is the father of Arjun. The Indra's mantra was used by Kunti to get Arjun. Now, Arjun has taken the side of Agni. Agni is the element of Manipur Chakra. Arjun and Krishna have taken the side of his Manipur Chakra element and foregone away from Indra, who is the biological element. Some changes, very subtle changes, like, Indra was the father whose mantra gave birth to Arjun, and he had been looking after Arjun's good being. But Manipur is Arjun's, Manipur Chakra's characteristic. Now, Manipur Chakra's characteristic is upward to that Indra's position. Next slide, please. And did that, the area was cleared, and then there used to be one Mayasur staying in that forest, and he was also rescued by these people. So he was a very, I don't know whether to call him architect or builder, but he was a very skilled person in creating wonderful houses. And he created this Mahal for Pandavas. Maya Sabha. It was named Maya Sabha. The name itself indicates that misleading. Maya is misleading. So there was, this had a characteristic that, where there is water, you might get the impression of land, and where there is land, you might get an impression of water. And you may not be able to judge the situation correctly. That is my sabha. So this is where Pandavas started staying. Next slide, please. And then they invited Kauravas to see their luxurious house. And then this happened. This Duryodhan thought this was floor and it was water, and he fell into water. And fell into water, but Draupadi doesn't have to make a bad comment about it. She said that, ande ka beta anda. So, you can create a house where you can't be, it's a Maisava, and then somebody falls a victim there and you instigate him. Then what are you going to do? You are going to face the music. So, next slide, please. So, the preparation for the music starts, they are invited for a duet, game of dice. And where that time, refusing invitation to dice was considered cowardness for a king. A king is supposed to be fearless. So he is not supposed to be afraid of dying or living or losing or winning. So refusing invitation is cowardness. And Dharmaraj accepted it, and they all came for the game of dice. And see how things happen. When they come here, then they realize that Duryodhan is not going to play. It's not going to be king to king. It's going to be Shakuni playing for Duryodhan. Now, if Shakuni is going to play for Duryodhan, if Yudhishthir is alert, he can also say, then Duryodhan says, on my behalf, Shakuni will play. Duryodhan, this Yudhishthir can say that on my behalf, Krishna can play. But he didn't, promptness of instinct is not there in Yudhishthir. He played himself. Then the king is supposed to keep on playing till he has something to bet, and he goes on losing one thing after another, and everything is lost. And then it comes to next slide, please. Next, the last thing it becomes, so Draupadi is also sort of staked, and they lose it, and then the Draupadi is pulled into the hall to sort of start disrobing her. Now, this can be looked from either side. Draupadi Vastraharan is, you can see it as punishment for losing the game of dice. Or you can also look at it as Kundalini Shakti, the energy of Kundalini gets filtered away when you associate with sensual tendencies. It's either way. You read Mahabharata, they will say she was Vastraharan hua uska. You can also say that Kundalini Shakti, Draupadi is Kundalini, then Kundalini Shakti, the Shakti is filtered away due to sensual tendencies association. Okay? This is for us to think and decide what we want to interpret. When Draupadi was being disrobed, she was pleading to Bhishma, pleading to Dhritarashtra, pleading to Bhishma, this Dronacharya, pleading to Krupacharya, all the big family people. And nobody is willing to do anything. Till she becomes desperate and she says, remembers Krishna, and she says, can't you see what is happening to me and protect me? And Krishna came in half a minute. And Draupadi asked, what made you take so long to come for my protection? And Krishna said, I came in half a minute after you called me. So far you were calling Bhishma, Dhritarashtra, and all those people. So I was waiting for them to help you. When you called me, I came. Two lessons for me in this. When Draupadi Vastraharan happens, when the Kundalini is sort of, energy is filtered away, the only one who can help us is Krishna, the divinity. And if we want that help, we should ask for that the first thing, not after we have exhausted all our other options. Next slide, please. Anyway, the deal was that they would go to forest for 12 years and then Ajnatwas for 1 year. So forest for 12 years, they were in forest. And Kauravas went there to sort of humiliate them. But when the Kauravas went there, some Gandharvas were having some lake bath and all that. And they caught hold of all these people, Kauravas, and tied them up. Then some Kauravas emissary went to Pandavas where they were in the Vanvas and told them, कि ऐसा ऐसा हुआ है, तो you have to sort of rescue them. And Bhim, Arjuna and all people said, what do we have to do? They have caused us all these problems. So let them suffer now. Yudhishthir said that Paraihi parabhave prapte vayam panchottaram shatam. When somebody else is the problem, then we are 5 and they are 100. Paraspara virodhetu vayam pancha shatam tute. When somebody else is involved, we are 105 together. sensual tendencies and discretionary forces belong to the same human being. They can't act at the cost of each other. If Gandharvas are to be fought, then Pandavas join 100 Kauravas. But if there are Kauravas against Pandavas, then Kauravas are 100 and Pandavas are 5. This is a very particular slope which gives us the clarity that Kaurav and Pandav, the fight is there, but they are both ours. Kaurava's sensual tendencies are also ours, and Pandavas also. Discretionary forces are also ours. Now, how we use them to the best advantage is for us to find out. Next slide, please. This is the point where Kaurav Pandavas war is inevitable and people are gathering forces by asking all friends and well-wishers to join, help them. And to Krishna is on good side for both. So they went to, like Duryodhan went to Krishna and Arjun went to Krishna. When Duryodhan went to Krishna, the Krishna was sleeping, he sat at the side of his head. When Arjun came later on, Krishna was still sleeping, but Arjun sat at his foot. Now it so happened that when Krishna woke up, he saw somebody who was sitting at his foot first. Rather than turning his head, he saw Arjun. So he asked Arjun, "Kyun bhai kaise aaye?" And Duryodhan said, "No, but I came before you." So he said, "Okay, what do you want? I also want the same." So Krishna clarified that, see, I can help both of you. The point is, either I will come alone or my forces will come alone. I and my forces will not go together. So Arjun had tremors. What does Duryodhan ask? And Duryodhan, like a smart man, asked, "I want your forces." So he got the right to take all the Krishna's Sena. And Arjun was relieved that, oh God, if he had asked Krishna what I would have done. He wanted Krishna at any cost, Krishna alone without arms. That is his choice. When that is our choice, then our getting near God is easier. When we are materialistically interested in the forces, going near God is not so simple. Next slide, please. Yeah. Now, Krishna has started helping Pandava. Duryodhan was a very strong person. He was a bodybuilder and his Gandhari, we have seen that she had blindfolded herself. Now Duryodhan has grown up. Now the war is going to take place. So Gandhari wants to do something for Duryodhan to help him. So she tells him that, I have not opened my eyes for such a long period. So there is a tremendous power in my sight now. Now what you do is you come totally naked to me and I'll take out my eye strip, and my eyesight will make you impenetrable. Oh, fantastic. Like Duryodhan went back and he got naked and he started coming. But Krishna came in, where are you? What is this? Why are you not wearing clothes? And he said, no, Gandhari has called me for such and such person, so I have to go like this. So Krishna said, yeah, even in this situation, you can't be going with your uh, personal parts open like this. Like, you just at least have at least banana leaves to cover your personal parts. He agreed. He found the logic. And he went with her private parts covered. Gandhari opened her strip and that eyesight made Duryodhan's rest of the body impenetrable. But his private area remained suspicious, vulnerable. Next slide, please. Now, these all points, like, how you deal with the situation, how Krishna dealt and how these things we have to keep noting. And this slide, the timing is the war is over, Kauravas have been killed, Pandavas have won, and Dhritarashtra is in deep grief for having lost all his 100 sons. But he takes control of himself and invites Bhim for a meeting. They agreed. A day was fixed. When the Pandavas went and Bhim was there, Dhritarashtra opened his arms, said, let me have a nice hug to you. I have not met you for such a long time. Now, Krishna was no doubt the smart person, and he had anticipated and prepared for the situation. He pulled Bhim back and he kept a steel statue of Bhim for Dhritarashtra to embrace. When Dhritarashtra embraced that steel statue, it crumpled. Can you imagine what would have happened if Bhim was there instead of the statue? But Krishna anticipates and takes precaution. It also tells me another possible lesson. Bhim is Pavan Putra. And we saw last time that Bhim is Pavan Putra breath and Hanumanji is Pavan Putra Pran. One more input. Out of Kauravas, all 100 Kauravas were killed by Bhim. For all 100 Kauravas, the killer was Bhim. The rest of the army was killed by other different. But for all 100 Kauravas, Bhim was the killer. Now we have seen that Dhritarashtra is symbol of mind. Does it tell us how much stronger the mind is than breath? Breath could kill all the 100 Kauravas. All the sensual tendencies can be controlled by breathing methods. Savariyaji's 3-step rhythmic breathing or refining exercises. Yes, you can overcome the sensual tendencies by breathing methods. but not mind. Mind you cannot control by breathing. For that, a totally different thing is required. For that, only Krishna is able to find the solution. Next slide, please. This is another earlier story. Bhim was going through the forest and that lame monkey is lying in the path. And Bhim didn't want to cross him. He said that, oh, you let me go, like, he said, no, like, I'm too weak to sort of even shift my tail. So why don't you help me? You remove my tail and then go pass over that, there. And Bhim could not even move the tail of Hanumanji. That was, he was Hanumanji. And Bhim, the Pran, cannot even move the tail of Pran. That's the relative importance. Pran, Shwas, and Man. So when we have to come to our spiritual practices, we have to keep these inputs in mind. Next slide, please. These we have seen, like, where are Pandavas and what are the Maslow's needs hierarchy, and we know this, right? Now, I have got this slide here only for one purpose. Why did Krishna choose Arjun, apart from Arjun's devotion to him and Arjun's total sort of surrender to him and all that? Apart from that, there is one more input. That, the lower four energies, the lower four steps, if you have crossed them, you don't normally fall back again. These are like, once you have overcome them, then your further journey can start. But this Bhim, Yudhishthir, Bhim and Yudhishthir, these levels, even if you cross, you may be able to come back again. I'm making a mistake. I'm saying the other way around. Here, this Yudhishthira and Bhim, after that, you cannot come back. After Arjun, you may be able to come back. You might come back. So, this Bhim and Yudhishthir didn't need the support anymore. They didn't need the discourse that's from Krishna. But and below Arjun, they cannot go up anyway. Till they come to this Arjun stage, they cannot go up anyway. So Arjun is the only person who can benefit from further inputs. Bhim and Yudhishthir don't need it. They have already gone to a stage of not falling back. And below Arjun, anyway, they cannot make use of it. So Arjun getting the inputs is the most useful thing. Next slide, please. we are coming towards the end, so let us finish it off. So there are 3 shlokas in Gita which shows the journey of Arjuna. So he starts from Senayor Ubhayor Madhya Ratham Sthapayam Echyutam. That is where he starts. Then he goes through that, all the psychological drama. And then Krishna has to give him all his inputs. And then he agrees, Shishyasteham Shadi Mam Tvam Prapannam. I am your disciple, you tell me what I should do. That was his second stage. And then the final stage was last 18th chapter. Stitosme gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava. So we all have to go through all the 3 stages. Without this stage, we can't reach the end. Next slide, please. This is a very big lesson. Bhishma was, Ichamrityu was. Bhishma had the Vardhan of Shantanu. For getting him married to Satyavati, he gave him a blessing that you will have Ichamrityu. Till you decide to die, you will not die. So at the end of the war, when Bhishma had to be fought, Krishna takes Pandavas to Bhishma in twilight time and tells them to भाई उनके पैर छुओ. तो भीष्मा वो कोई पैर छूता है तो चिरंजीव हुआ भव, तो विजयी भव, चिरंजीव हो, ऐसा कोई वरदान उनको दे देता है. तो फिर उनको बहुत सिखाया था, अभी आपने जो वरदान दिया है उसको सच करने का तरीका आप हमको बताओ. अगर उनका इच्छा मृत्यु है तो हमको चिरंजीव हो या विजय हो बता, बोलने से क्या होएगा, हम क्या करें वो बताओ. So then Bhishma had to decide that okay, it means that Krishna has coached them and now it means that my time has come, so now let me tell them how to kill me. So he tells them that Shikhandi is actually that Amba of the previous births, and since he was a girl in the previous birth, I will not fight him. So if you put Shikhandi in front and then fight from behind, then I cannot kill you, so you can use this and kill me. So they did that, and then ultimately Bhishma was on the Sharapanjar. He was on the Sharapanjar, they say, waiting for Uttarayan. Correct? Waiting for Uttarayan. Now Uttarayan is the period from December to June, and Dakshinayan is the period from June to December. Now what's the difference between these 2 periods? June to December is monsoon period, mainly monsoon period. June to December, the skies are clouded, there is no light, there is no energetic feeling, it's all gloomy atmosphere. Otherwise, December to June is all bright sunshine, clarity of thinking and mind. Now, was Bhishma waiting for June, or Bhishma was waiting for clarity of mind? The bed of arrows. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Vipassana. In Vipassana, they teach how to sense your sensations on the skin. The sensations, the thoughts, and the feelings are expressions of the same state. So either you follow thoughts, or you follow sensations, or you follow or whatever, like any one of them. That's the way to go on the spiritual clarity. What Bhishma is doing is, like, you can consider experiencing the sensations being caused by all the wounds inflicted on him, and seeing, again, in the question, what they say is you have to be able to see pleasant or unpleasant sensations with equanimity. No different attitude towards good or bad. So similarly, whether the thought is good or bad, or the sensation is good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant, all these things are going to achieve something for us. Like, what is it? Like last time we said that our human body is carrying the recordings of all our past. Now these recordings, we said that we have, the human body is writer come rewriter come recorder come rewriter, recorder come player. So when we play, it is wiped out. But if we have any emotion towards what is being wiped out, then it gets re-recorded. What is recorded in our subtle bodies is our experiences and our feelings of good or bad, pleasant or pleasant towards it. Since ever since our journey on this planet started. Now, if we experience it, to experience it, the original recording has to give rise to that experience. But if we respond to that experience, it gets re-recorded. So we have to experience it without feeling good or bad, with equanimity, with the same feeling towards whether it is good or bad. And the Dadaji's method that we would come to maybe today or maybe some other time is how to sort of clean the subtle bodies. We saw that Chitragupta is going to see our recordings. If it is bad, then you go to Narka. If it is good and plain, you go to Swarga. So how to remain with clean bodies? So you have to wipe out all the past impressions, all the, and then another thing is all our impressions, expressions, experiences, there is nothing like last in, first out, or first in, last out, or first in, first out. There's no scheme of storage. The whole thing is dumped in us. We don't know what is where. So we can't select and pick and clean. Any situation which makes us experience that outcome, and if we remain neutral to it, without liking or disliking, without feeling good or bad, without any response to it, if we can see it, if we can experience it without any good or bad feeling, then it gets wiped out. So maybe this is what Bhishma is trying to achieve, experiencing the wounds and the hurts, to come out of it, to come out in Uttarayan like clarity. I don't know whether this is really the truth, but this is what I understand, and this is what I think, and this is what I think Dadaji tried doing. Dadaji would never have said what he is trying to do, but what he did probably results into this. Next slide, please. Krishna used one way of overcoming the forces of Bhim or Bhishma. Now this is for Dronacharya. When Dronacharya was to be attacked, again, people knew that, defeating Dronacharya is not simple, even at that age. It is very difficult. So what did Krishna do? He told Dharmaraj, Yudhishthira, that I am going to let loose a rumor that Ashwatthama is dead. When Dronacharya hears the rumor that Ashwatthama is dead, he is not going to believe it. He will definitely not come to me and ask me to confirm. Krishna is saying, Krishna knows that Dronacharya is not going to ask such a question to Krishna and believe the answer. He will definitely go to Dharmaraj only. So he is preparing Dharmaraj beforehand. That you tell him, yes, Ashwatthama hataha. Dharmaraj said, how can I tell a lie? He says, you have to win the war. You have to do this. So he said, no, I don't care what happens. Whether I lose or not, I will not tell a lie. So Krishna told him that Ashwatthama is name of an elephant. The elephant named Ashwatthama will be killed. Now you don't have to be a liar. You can just say, Ashwatthama hata, it's a truth. Ashwatthama hata. Now you don't have to go out of the way to say that I don't know whether it was Narova Kunjarova, whether it was man or elephant. You just say Ashwatthama hata. You don't have to say Narova Kunjarova. But the statement Ashwatthama hata is true. He agreed, okay, I will see. And Krishna didn't believe one bit that Yudhishthira will do it. So what he did was, he killed the elephant, floated the rumor, and when Dronacharya went to Yudhishthira to ask whether Ashwatthama is killed, and Dharmaraj gave the pre-decided response, the Ashwatthama hataha narova kunjarova, I don't know. But Krishna, being smartest, he had arranged for bands to start making drums noise after Ashwatthama hataha. Ashwatthama hataha was heard by Dronacharya. Narova Kunjarova was not heard by anybody, only drums were heard. Now look at it, Krishna is this, they're showing us how ego can be dealt with, how habits can be dealt with, how sensual tendencies can be dealt with. These are lessons. They are lessons for us. Next slide, please. Karna. Karna was a victim of his own situation. He was no doubt the most capable warrior. He had acquired his education from Parshuram by telling a lie that he is not.
He is a Kshatriya.
He is a Kshatriya. He is not. So he was not Kshatriya, but he told that I'm a Kshatriya, and then he learnt it from Parshuram, all the things. And then
He told him that I am a Brahmin, because Parshuram was going to teach to only Brahmins.
Anyway, so, and it turned out to be a lie. And Parshuram wanted to give him a punishment. But instead of that, he said that, okay. He only said that you will not be able to you will forget the Vidya you have learned from me at that moment, and you will not be able to benefit from it. So, but when Karna's Rath was stuck in the mud and he had to get down and all that, Krishna told Arjun, you kill him now. If he's back in the chariot, you will not be able to compete with him. Don't be under wrong impressions that you are better than Karna. He is definitely better than you. So you kill him now. And Karna asked Krishna, why did you do this adharma yuddha with me? He said that तुमने जो द्रौपदी के टाइम किया था वो धर्म था क्या, ये किया वो धर्म था क्या, वो धर्म था क्या. So I had no alternative but to find the winning way. But as they say, Karna did not die. The only person who got moksha in this war situation was Karna. He was released out of the thing by Krishna. Next slide, please. Now, Krishna had planned this war between Bhim and Duryodhan when Duryodhan was going to Gandhari. He went without the private parts covered, which were then very weak. And Krishna told Bhim, you hit him on the thigh. So below the belt, not hitting below the belt, not to be observed here. You want to kill this Duryodhan, you have to hit below the belt. And that is how the final problem which was left, Duryodhan, was also eliminated. So the ways which Krishna finds with different people are also indicative of how we should deal with the situation. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. This is the end of Mahabharata. This Dhritarashtra and Gandhari were left without children, alone in the Hastinapur. Only two people, except the Dasis and all that, only two people who were remaining from the war were Kunti and Vidur. Discretion and Vivek and Vairagya were left back. Everything else was gone. And then they, Kunti and Vidur were looking after Dhritarashtra and Kunti. But ultimately, Kunti and Gandhari, but ultimately they all decided that we have had all of our life. So now let us go to isolation, Vanaprasthashram. So, for Yudhishthir and Gandhari follow Kunti and Vidur and retire to the isolation of Vanaprasthashram. Again, discretion and dispassion. We have seen that dispassion is Kunti, discretion is Vidur, and now the mind and his consort are following dispassion and discretion to retire to your sadhana. You have to first start with dispassion and discretion. With these two, you have to go into isolation. Need not go to forest, go to isolation. There you have to observe what is happening in you. You have to develop your sensitivity to such an extent that anything that happens inside is noticed by you. And then not only notice it without feeling good or bad about it. Impartial observation with discretion and dispassion is the ultimate method of ending the stay here. Thank you so much. That was wonderful opportunity for me to go over the whole thing. It's not very easy for me to sort of remain detached from it. I get involved in it so much and I forget so many things so many times. Sorry for me. Excuse me for all those lapses. But this has been a wonderful phase of my life to come to this understanding.
Sir, you spoke about the Kundalini Shakti. We saw it on display today as you were receiving some live instructions from behind, from Saint Nehelben, when you forgot to tell us about what was the truth behind Karna.
I got excited and forget things. So without her being next to me, I can't be living Hamad. She is a necessary part of my living. But really, I'm glad that you gave me this opportunity.
So anybody wants to make a comment and or to share something?
Sir, I'm here.
Please go ahead. Aditi, just a minute. Why don't you start your video?
Just a minute.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, it was a wonderful total listening because I missed the last episode. So I decided to listen it before this episode so that I will get all the continuity at one go. I finished the first one at 4 o'clock and I joined this at 4:30. So for me, it was a big treat all at once. And it was so amazing. It
You
was
do
quite
one
eye-opening.
thing, like, you put both the parts together and see them together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was something like that for me, and it went really nice, and it was an eye-opening, very different concepts. And as last meeting, some comments said that different perspective. The same way I used to feel कि रामायण महाभारत they are symbolic. रामायण का तो बहुत कुछ पता चला बिकॉज घर में उपासना राम की है, मम्मा भी बहुत बोलती थी, थोड़ा बहुत तो पता था. लेकिन विद दिस महाभारत आई वाज ऑलवेज ऑन अ स्टोरी लाइन ओनली एंड आई यूज्ड टू मिस समथिंग कि कुछ तो मिस हो रहा है. बट व्हाट वाज दैट I could relate today by your talk. Thanks a ton. I can't thank you enough for this, what you have given. Thank you so much.
Thanks for you
Thank
all.
you.
You gave me an opportunity.
नाही सर, दुसरी ऑपॉर्च्युनिटी तुम्ही इतकं छान सांगितलं ना, मला आय हॅव नो वर्ड्स. व्हेरी हॅपी आहे.
कौन बोलते हैं? कौन?
डॉक्टर अदिति, इसको हमने वो स्पॉटलाइट हटा दिया था.
नाही
मैंने
सर,
कर
मी
दिया.
काही नाही, मी महाराष्ट्रातली आहे.
Dr.
मी
Aditi
मराठी
is an Ayurvedic practitioner from Hubli.
Really?
Yeah.
हो, मी आहे
She is from
महाराष्ट्राची, माहेर कोल्हापूर.
she is from Kolhapur, married in Hubli.
Yeah.
And how, when did she come to Bombay?
And all my relations are in Bombay itself, sir.
So we'll consult you or not.
No, anytime, sir. It will be a great pleasure to talk to you. Even consulting is different.
And about Ayurveda.
Yes, sure, sir. That's my passion. You can talk to me and I'll talk for hours.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, sir. It was very nice session. Thanks a lot.
Anyone else, please? No one? Umaji, you want to say something?
I was trying to type it out. Yeah, it was a very enlightening session. We could understand the Mahabharata from a totally different perspective. And, especially the mind, the intellect and Vairagya, it really, but one thing is still, is why did Krishna do all that he did? That is still a question in my mind.
परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Umaji. Anybody else? For me, Kanhaiya ji, it was a wonderful lesson in the understanding about Leela. Krishna is known as Leela Purushottam. So he created these situations, and through those situations he made certain things happen. And he had a kind of a medicine or an antidote for everything. So everything was, when we are in pure awareness, everything comes instinctively. So there is this rule of, what I understood about this whole thing was that the rule of appropriateness. We are always guided by our previous impressions. So we have notions of what is moral and what is not so moral, what is appropriate, good or not so good, and we are bound by those tendencies or those notions of what we think is right or should be done, but everything is rooted in precedent. And when there is just pure awareness, so there is no precedent. One gets to know instinctively in the spur of the moment what is appropriate, and that is to be done. So this was a great lesson, and this is possible only if we leave the mind behind. We rise above the mind completely, because as long as the mind is there, it will bring a precedent, and that will create confusion. And another thing which really stood out for me was this particular shloka that you shared, कि परे परिभवे प्राप्ते वयम पंचोत्तरम शतम परस्पर विरोधे तु वयम पंच शतम तुते. Yudhishthir said that, look, if somebody else was a creator of, I mean, if it was a fight amongst ourselves, then they are 100 and we are 5. But if the problem is being created by somebody from the outside, then we are 105. So this was a great takeaway for me, and it has really, helped me perhaps refine my own understanding of what is right or what is appropriate. So thank you so much. And anybody else wants to share something? Because
I just want to comment. Like,
yes,
we are a package. We cannot survive only as sensual tendencies, neither can we survive as only discretionary forces. We have to survive as a package. All of us is required to, like, if the divinity has created humanity like this, they have a purpose in how this humanity should function. Like, it needs all 105 characteristics to survive and thrive in this world. It can't be this way or that way. It has to be a full being.
thank you so much.
Also, one thing I would like to say is that, appropriateness is a necessity. But maintaining appropriateness throughout every moment is very difficult, especially when we have to maintain appropriateness between most of the things which we are not within the field of our awareness.
Yes.
So we have to first increase our awareness level so that we are aware of all the things that are happening, and then be appropriate or impartial towards them.
So that is why our challenges are perhaps a kind of an invitation to expand the awareness. The more challenges we have, the more aware we become. And then you gave this example of Bhishma being on the bed of arrows, and how the pain that is caused, that makes us extra sensitive, and we can just rise above the mind. It allows us to become more aware. That was a wonderful understanding you imparted.
I'm waiting for December to die or June to die.
Yeah.
He has to wait for light of clarity.
Point of clarity. So shall we close?
Thank you so much, sir.
नहीं
Really
नहीं,
grateful
आप
to
क्यों
you.
थैंक्स बोल रहे हैं? थैंक्स तो हमको बोलना है.
Opportunity.
कितना भी आपका धन्यवाद करें कम है. So much, we are so grateful, and it is opening a kind of a different vista of understanding to each one of us. We
The
are
second chapter of that Towards Unknown, which I had sent to you, is for this understanding, how to do this.
okay. And by the way, I have purchased the book God Speaks to Arjuna. So I hope to take it forward.
God speaks to Arjun.
I brought that
It's a beautiful book.
Yoganand's book. It is available for those who want to buy. It is available on Amazon. And
You might as well have that Towards the Unknown.
beg your pardon, sir?
That's so wonderful.
There is some kind of a connection.
Adaji's book, that Towards the Unknown.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
chapter I have given you from that book.
I will post it on the group. I will post it on the group for everyone.
But that book has 8 chapters.
Yes.
And all of them are wonderful.
Okay. So maybe, if it is, we can encourage people to buy that book.
No. That is the first book Dadaji made us touch.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So
Okay.
we'll just end with a prayer. सोलेगांवकर जी आप करेंगे या शांति पाठ में
आप
कर?
करो, आप करो।
ओके। ॐ सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनो सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चिद् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः